Distinguished representative of the media, esteemed partners, respected industry stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for making the time to attend this important press briefing today, which is 27th of May, 2026. Today marks a very significant moment for Nigerians out-of-home advertising industry as we officially commission the services of research groups to embark on what we believe will become one of the most important independent industry studies in the history of Nigerian out-of-home advertising. The title of this project is Nigerian OH Media and Audience Behavior Study, which you already see here. And this initiative is proudly championed by Out-of-Home Academy Nigeria, which is the pioneer of the Location Marketing Conference and Awards. And in collaboration with TMKG Consulting, who is an independent media monitoring agency with support of key stakeholders and partners across out-of-home ecosystem. For over a decade, in fact, since I personally joined this industry, there has not been any comprehensive independent study of this nature focused on understanding OH audience penetration, consumer engagement, movement patterns, audience behavior, and industry market realities in Nigeria. And as an industry as important and visible as out-of-home advertising cannot continue to rely solely on assumptions, estimates, or fragmented data. The media landscape is evolving rapidly. Consumer attention is changing. Technology is transforming audience engagement. Cities are becoming smarter and more connected. Therefore, the OH industry itself must also evolve through knowledge, intelligence, and credible data. This research is designed to provide deeper insight into the following: the OH consumer penetration across Nigeria, audience behavior and mobility patterns, consumer interaction with out-of-home media, media effectiveness and visibility, market intelligence and industry insights, industry spend analysis from preceding years, emerging opportunities shaping the future of OH sector. Importantly, this will not be a one-off exercise. This study is designed to become an annual industry intelligence report under the flagship of LOMA Outlook, the state of out-of-home location marketing in Africa. Our simple goal is to build a more transparent, credible, measurable, and trusted OH industry driven by facts, research, and intelligence. At this point, I must sincerely appreciate our global partners and sponsors who have consistently believed in Loma vision from the first edition until this fourth edition we are going on by this September. Special appreciation goes to Moving Walls and their into OH audience measurement and location intelligence. Polygon is one from South Africa, is a screen network aggregator and programmatic DOH. We have Absent, which has been a global leader in the LED display technology and one of the world's leading screen manufacturers. Their continuous support demonstrates the growing international confidence in the future of Africa's out-of-home advertising industry and the Loma platform. At OH Academy and Loma Conference and Awards, we remain committed to delivering three major responsibilities to the industry. The first one is to drive knowledge sharing and industry development through conferences, workshops, conversations, and strategic engagements. And secondly, we want to recognize and reward companies, but most importantly, individuals whose efforts and contributions to industry have gone unnoticed despite years of sacrifice and innovation. Then thirdly, the third assignment we gave ourselves was to deepen the integrity, credibility, and the future sustainability of the industry. Today's commission is evidence of that commitment. To ensure the credibility, transparency, and professional quality of this study, we assembled an experienced oversight committee made up of respected industry professionals and research experts. First on my list is Mr. Emmanuel Adediran, who is a business unit director at Plus Equity. Ikechukwu Ogbonna, who previously worked with Kantar and also served as the head of consumer research at Dentsu Nigeria. Last but not the least is Mr. Felix Onwukaeme. He's a former leader within the Nigerian Out-of-Home Advertising Association of Nigeria, OAN, and the founding member of African OH Congress. And we deeply appreciate these distinguished professionals for lending their expertise and credibility to this important industry assignment. We are also pleased to state that key industry bodies, including OAN, MIPAN, and ACON are officially aware of this initiative, and it's important to the future development of the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited about this and what this research will uncover and how the findings will influence the future planning, buying, measurement, and strategic use of OH advertising in Nigeria. The final report and findings will officially be presented during the fourth edition of Location Marketing Conference and Awards coming up this September in Lagos. And copies of the reports will be circulated to industry stakeholders to support better decision making and industry advancement. Finally, I would like to sincerely appreciate Research Groups, TMKG Consulting, OAN, NIPAN, ACON, the Oversight Committee members, our sponsors, and to you, the humbled and the distinguished members of the press, for your presence, support, belief, and commitment to the growth of Nigerian out-of-home advertising industry. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Barika de Salah, and God bless you. My name is Kingsley. Onwukaeme, King of Arts.
So what we're doing today is not only novel, it's something that can't wait. And as a committee, rather than taking or having this conversation, discretionally, I'd like to submit to the chairman of this committee to harmonize our thoughts going forward so that we can take your questions. But what I can say is that this research has waited too long to come. And in a world that's going connected, in a world that's going smart, outdoor, with the enormous value and potential it has, cannot keep itself outside of the door for one day longer.
We're actually delighted to be here. And just to add to what Kingsley has said, when he reached out, I muted the idea of this report. I was really excited because up until now, the out-of-home industry has remained, for lack of a better word, an industry that has so much potentials, but is limited. And the limiting factors are things that are obvious that we actually all know about. But the question that has lingered for long is who is going to take on this responsibility? At the Top Trends event for 2026 that was organized by Media Reach OMD, one of the trends that came out was that out of home, over the last, I think, 5 to 10 years, has remained one of the most resilient channels in the traditional media mix, recording sustained growth year on year. And as we get into 2026, 2027, there's going to be a lot of investment, a lot of focus and attention on this channel. And I think that with the era that we found ourselves as marketing professionals, where data, insight, correct, and information has become more integral to decision making as it affects marketing investments and business decisions, it behoves on us all to provide accurate, timely, and consistent data to back investments on out of home. And if you look at the traditional channels, just to put things in context, we have the diaries for TV and radio, right? There are other proprietary tools that different agencies also have. But when it comes to out of home, it's almost like, we're not sure. When it comes to the measurements, you have estimates here, estimates there, walled gardens all over the place. There's really no single source of data that harmonizes all of this. And that's why this particular report is very important. And one of the things I genuinely appreciate, the Loma and OH Academy team for is what they've consistently done by decentralizing intelligence. There are, certain spaces where relevant information is actually available, but most times it's walled off. So it's limited to just a few. With this report, everyone in the industry can, genuinely say that we have access to a credible report, that is updated, right? And speaks to the current state and needs of the industry that we have found ourselves today. And on behalf of the committee, we are really excited, to get on with this. This is the maiden edition for sure. And it's a step in the right direction. And we believe that from here onwards, it would certainly only be much better. And to wrap it up, in conclusion, I made a statement around businesses and marketing decisions being premised on data. One of the positives that I'm sure we're going to derive from this research is when the report comes out and this information and insights are being shared with the industry, you can be sure that brands and businesses will be more confident to invest more money, because where you are able to measure, right, it's easy for you to justify investment. And clearly, we're going to be seeing a lot of those investments show up and out of home actually taking the position that it deserves, in the grand scheme of things when it comes to media planning and advertising. So I want to thank you all again and say to the industry that, let's watch out for what this interesting report and study would uncover, and then we can take it up from there.
Okay, so about the research, actually, we have been commissioned to do this study, and part of the template for this has been that we are looking at pan-Nigeria study that makes it a whole lot credible, like we're saying, data that you can reliable data that you can trust when decisions are made. We all know that important business decisions should be based. We don't want to talk about what is obtainable in our country, this part of the world, where decisions are made out of the whims and caprices of individuals, and then they just take it out there, begin to roll. Sometimes they model their way through. But what this has come to bring is that integrity that Mr. Kingsley talked about. The integrity that what you were actually planning, that there is a repository wherein that you can just look through, whether it's a PIP that will give you something that you can work with. And so we did identify 12 states or city as it were, talking about the spread or the scope of work that we are engaging in. That 12 states is approximately 1/3 of the country. Okay, so we are doing that in Lagos, in Ibadan. We are doing it in Benin. We are doing it in Asaba. We are doing it in Onitsha. We are doing it in Enugu. We are doing it in Aba. We are doing it in Port Harcourt. We are doing it in Abuja. We are doing it in Kano. We are doing it in Kaduna. And then we are doing it finally in Sokoto. So with these 12 cities, as it were, we are confident that the return, the intelligence that we will return to the industry is something that anyone can work with. So over that number of cities or states, as we may call it, we have adopted quantitative. It's a mixed method study, quantitative and qualitative. Now we all know that the qualitative reinforces that insights that we generate from quantitative. So when we count the numbers, when we quantify the numbers, then there is that need for us to qualify them in terms of people's perception, people's opinions and perspectives and views. So that's when we bring in the qualitative aspect of the study. And this will now reinforce the numbers that we have generated from the quantitative aspect of the study. So who actually are we looking at? Now, you can bet with me that the generality of Nigerians or the consumers are consumers of OOH. Everybody is a consumer of OOH. Why do I say everybody? Including those who are found in socioeconomic class E. Okay, but we have chosen within the frame of A to D. Socioeconomic class A to D. Okay, now we have those who, someone was asking us, how do you then disaggregate this economic class? We have designed our instrument in such a manner that there are things that are synonymous with each of these socioeconomic class that you can use to identify them. It could be their purchasing power. That is the amount of money they make either on monthly basis or on annual basis. A number of things that they own in their house, in where they live. We could use car, we could use television, oven, that is microwave oven, other household equipment that are found, fridges that you can actually use to know that this one it can be found or can be categorized in this socioeconomic class. So at the end of the day, by the time we are returning, we are having 1,800 sample sites for the quantitative, and then we have chosen to do 12 focus group across the cities, and then we are doing 30 in-depth interviews. This we have actually found that it's robust enough and a good representative to ensure that what the outcome will be is something that the industry will be proud of.
What we do is monitor billboards in general, out-of-home assets, for clients and for the general. So we talk about competitive studies, we're talking about placement, data visibility, share of voice, and everything that has to do with out-of-home data. We've been collecting this for over 20 years and working in partnership with Loma, Out-of-Home Academy. We plan to, make these resources available as well for this research, because this research will not be possible without placement and visibility data as well, which is what we offer. We offer competitor insights, we offer out-of-home strategies as well. And basically, we've done some research of our own on audience measurement, a bit of, and we are willing to, share this as well with Out-of-Home Academy for the success of this research and project. So like they've all said, it promises to be an exciting one that the industry really needs, because it is sad that an industry this big and wide is immeasurable, cannot fully be measured. So you cannot find your ROI specifically, right? You cannot justify your investment specifically. But we hope and we know that with this project, we're able to create a structure whereby investments can be quantified and justified, and making the out-of-home space, a bigger and a better space for advertisement.
To Kingsley and to you, what is the duration of this research?
Yeah, we truly do not want to overpromise and underdeliver. That's why we put it at 10 weeks, even though that we are going to run this study full cycle less than 10 weeks. But we are comfortable having 10 weeks on our timelines, so that nobody is taken unawares.
Are you doing it pro bono because you said it will be launched at Loma Awards program? Are you going to sell the research output to make back your money? Because I know you are sinking money to do this. So is it pro bono, or who is funding it? You mentioned Akon. Akon should be interested in this than just knowing about it. How much is Akon coming into this space?
For this project specifically, we have put in money, and the way the report is going to go is that we're going to bring out reports and share the reports, but abridged version of the report is going to be shared. This data we're trying to cover is things that are prerequisite for you to arrive at your strategic direction when you're doing media direction. Okay, so you need to understand what is the media footprint, what is the audience behavior across out-of-home. By the time you understand this thing, and it's the way you run your data. If you're a media planner, if you run your data, is because of the clients or the brand you're working on, is different. The data you're looking for brand A is not what you're looking for brand B. So sometimes you have to run the data. So for you to have access to that raw set of data that we're going to put out there and at the house somewhere, you need to be able to pay something for it, to be able to also cover for that and show that you value what we are doing. Then in terms of Akon, Akon has been out from the first day of OOH Academy, not even Loma. And DG has said, Kingsley, run. We are behind you fully. From the first day before we started in Loma and OH Academy, not even Loma, because OH Academy was 2 years older than Loma. before we launched Loma. Then when Loma came in, the DG, everything we do based on the award is vetted by ACON. Then so ACON, once our categories for the award comes up, we send it to ACON to vet. This will tell you that ACON is not just aware, they are actually part of us in the whole process.
Are you doing this research because, as I heard, there's little shift from OH advertising to online social media? So are you doing this to validate the authenticity and the resilience and the reach of OH so that it can bring back the relevance?
I think it's important to clarify that, first off, we're going into this report with an open mind. We don't have any biases at the inception, so it's not designed to prove a point versus one channel or the other. And with that question, I think it's also important to clarify to the industry that this report is not designed or meant to replace, invalidate, or cast aspersions on any of the existing industry reports that we have. It is meant to serve as a complement, as an addition to the existing body of knowledge and insights that we have as an industry. So I think that distinction is very important because as we all say that there's no man, there's an island, right? Yeah. And this report, as beautiful as it is, will clearly not cover all the length and breadth of the problems or areas of interest when it comes to out of home. But the idea is we're taking a step, right, to provide the industry with another additional data point that can help us, move the industry in the right direction. And I hope that, provides the necessary clarity. So whether or not the data comes and says A or B, when the report is out, we would follow the data wherever it needs, as objective as possible.
So what happens to the other states? How are they going to also benefit from this study? And again, who are the main beneficiaries of this study?
Yes, we are aware that Nigeria comprises of 36 states. However, when you look at the cost outlay of conducting a research of this magnitude, you will agree with me that we certainly needed to prioritize. And what has informed the prioritization is, one, the population distribution. Second is also looking at factors like urbanization, okay? And lastly is when we take a cursory look at the trend of media advertising investments over the last 10 to 15 years, these markets fall within what we call your priority one markets for most advertisers, meaning that if I'm running a marketing campaign as an advertiser in the country, there are certain markets I will prioritize as my number one, and then number two or tier three as the case may be. So this 12 markets represents your tier one market when it comes to media investment. And that also means if I were to do a split of the investment budget, right, on a percentage basis, about 70, or more, depending on the brand category and all, of marketing investments actually flow to this market. So we necessarily had to prioritize on that basis for the purpose of this study. Hopefully tomorrow, if we get the necessary support and, buy-in of the industry, we can expand it to more markets. But for this maiden edition, it was important that we prioritized, and that's the reason why we had 12 markets. And in terms of the target audience, we're looking at your advertising demography in the country. So I think it's supposed to be from adults, right? Yeah, adults we call them adults of economic importance. So once you're at the age where you're able to, engage with a brand, exchange money and all of that, because as marketers, those are some of the parameters that we look at when we're advertising. You want to be sure that whoever I'm targeting, right, has the disposable income to be able to exchange for, the product or service that I have to offer.
For cost that Emma has mentioned is a consideration. Another critical consideration is time. So we cannot engage in 36 plus 1 states of the Federation within the time frame that we have to Loma. So this is something, it's a test ground for something bigger that is coming, like Kingsley did mention to us. And the chairman here also asked whether it's going to be a continuous, let's get to get this report. And then subsequently, we are actually going with the whole nation. But what we have also endeavored to do is that spread of representativeness. We have 5 out of the 6 geopolitical zones covered, except for Northeast, because of the obvious reasons which all of us are very much aware.
I must commend you for this initiative. Well done. Okay, let's look at your research. If everything you are promising comes out perfectly well, and what should we expect? Like, what should we be looking at, like 2030, for media buyers, for brands, and for the ordinary man that will walk through a billboard? What should we expect?
In the future, what we are trying to set, which is already happening, from the name, you ask me what Loma is. Loma is location marketing, right? The industry has evolved and evolved from what we call outdoor advertising to out-of-home advertising to what is called location marketing or audience planning or intelligence industry right now, which means everything is based on data-driven. And we have been able to start over time to communicate this back to back for over 5 years, and it's already showing this year, which is what you can see today happening. All right. And if you follow, there's a report that came up with what they call out of phone, which is how the integration of TikTok solutions from campaign going live on TikTok at the same time coming out on out of phone, which means the line is getting blurry in terms of which channel to use. Which means it's going to integrated communication is programmatically everything is going on. So with this set of kind of research we're doing and other ones that are coming in the future, what it means in the future, everybody will understand that out of home on your channel cannot sit in silo, right? We need to have an integrated planning solution, which means whilst you are using channel A or channel B, you need the support of the second channel to be able to make a full and effective communication or campaign message, brand messaging. Okay, so in the next future, what we see is industry that will no longer plan based on assumption, based on friendship, based on relationship. We start planning based on data, and it will help us to know that there's a justification to why I spend every kobo in out of home and media buying in general.
Are we right to say that this initiative, it's a way of positioning or preparing the industry, for the general elections campaign? That's actually the first question. Now the second question is this: you mentioned, you talked about OAN, you talked about ACON, you talked about other critical stakeholders in the sector, but I'm surprised I never heard. You talk about any of these, state advertising, outdoor advertising regular. I didn't hear you say that, because are you saying they never matter here? Because they also have a way of actually, shaping whatever happens in the industry.
That, because we didn't speak about them, doesn't mean that we're not working with them. Last year, Loma, the MD of LASA was a president at Loma Conference and Award. In fact, it was recognized at their conference. So they're also working with us. But because of what we are doing, is a national project. So it's not state per state conversation. That does not mean when we need them at any space, because of the kind of data we're looking for right now, we're not doing. There's some certain information we're looking for that is more critical right now that is not directly needed from them. We're going to still be asking them to supply us in terms of structural investments on out-of-home assets investment in every state, which is part of the studies, part of things that are going to inform the overall result. And in addition to what TMKG is also bringing. So they're not sitting out of this equation. Everybody's part of the whole ecosystem. The same thing with APSA, IMSA, Ogun State, OXA, Oyo State, OISA, and every other state, even the Abuja one. We are speaking with them across as well. In fact, our team member have been reaching them one by one as state signages to make sure that as we are growing, everybody's part of the whole ecosystem, so that Loma Conference and Awards will no longer be sitting in Lagos. It can happen at the central central place. Everybody from the part of Nigeria can always be part of it and know how we're going. So election wise, it's going to help buyers and planners. No, it's not other people. It's going to help them to buy data, do the data driven planning. So it's not because your voters are here and just like. So it's also part of it. This study will help us to know where and how they're going to skew their investments across.
You have a lot of investments coming in. It's like a windfall, right? During election and all of that. These investments ought to also be put into good use by the media owners. So it could be determining how you put this in investing and increasing your asset base, right, as a media owner and all of that. And this kind of report or research would certainly help you in determining the locations to target next, and it would even maybe would require you building capacity or competencies within your existing organization to position you, for a much better business outcome in the coming years. So these are some of the things that the report would provide and empower media owners to. So yes, in a way, but just to clarify, it's not sponsored by any political party, but it does have value, for all the stakeholders involved. Thank you very much, sir.